first of all, apology for not being able to deliver this presentation in Greek, so I hope you will bear with English. Let me first say a little bit about the background to the adoption of the regional plan on marine litter management in the Mediterranean, which will be the key or the central topic of my presentation today. It was adopted in December 2013 by the contracting parties to Barcelona Convention, and all the Mediterranean countries are parties to Barcelona Convention. It's also relevant to mention one of the protocols of Barcelona Convention, the protocol for the protection of the Mediterranean Sea from pollution from land-based sources and activities, because it creates the framework under which the regional plan was adopted. The plan came into force in July 2014, 6 months after the adoption, and it is important because it creates a framework for the Mediterranean countries to elaborate their national policies and action plans to address the impacts of marine litter. And in a way, it created a momentum for addressing litter-related marine and coastal pollution in an integrated manner. Let me go a little back and tell you why or how come that the marine litter management plan was adopted, but I guess we all here know what is the rationale for the adoption of such a legal instrument. But some facts that have been shown or found out through the analytical studies and assessments on marine litter in the Mediterranean say that around 80% of marine litter originates from land-based activities, whereas tourism and recreation and household activities, including consumption of food and drink, smoking, are the main sources of marine litter. A prevailing share of the marine litter which is found on our coastline, along our coastline, which is floating in the Mediterranean Sea or is deposited on the seafloor, are plastics. And the top 3 items found are plastic bottles, plastic bags, and caps or lids. And also one of the facts that is directly relevant for this meeting today and for the efforts that you are making is that the incidence of cigarettes filters is much higher in the Mediterranean Sea compared to other regional seas in the world. A very strong reason for adoption of the marine litter regional plan is that we have a growing transit-based generation in the EU and other Mediterranean countries alike, and also that in many of the Mediterranean countries, waste management systems are inadequate to treat and dispose of generated waste in an environmentally sound manner. And most of all, the reason for the Mediterranean countries to adopt this plan is that the environmental impacts of marine litter are very significant, and I will not talk in details about this because I believe there will be further sessions dedicated to this. But it's not only the impacts on the environment, but socioeconomic, health-related, cultural impacts as well are very significant. I will mention just one fact that the estimates say that at least 276 species worldwide are affected in a negative way by marine litter. So what did the countries, the contracting parties to Barcelona Convention, committed to by adopting this regional plan? First of all, to prevent and reduce to the minimum marine litter pollution in the Mediterranean, to remove to the extent possible already existent marine litter by using environmentally sound methods, to enhance knowledge on marine litter, very important thing because we realize that we don't know enough on all the aspects of marine litter problem, and also to bring management of marine litter in the Mediterranean in line with accepted international standards and approaches. Now a little bit more about the contents of the plan. The key 2 articles of the plan that outline the measures that need to be implemented and set the implementation deadlines are Articles 9 and 10. Article 9 defines prevention measures, and Article 10 deals with removal measures. For the prevention measures, when we are talking about land-based activities and sources, on this slide you can see a list of measures that are envisaged by the plan, and also in the brackets you can see the implementation deadlines. Most of the measures of the Marine Litter Regional Plan are to be implemented by the year 2020. However, the implementation span ranges from 2016 to 2025. So the key prevention measure that is integrated in the plan is that solid waste management strategies and practices in the Mediterranean countries should aim to achieve reduction and source, meaning prevention, reuse, recycling, recovery, including energy recovery, and also sound environmental disposal. That there should be reducing, reusing, and recycling measures implemented to address plastic packaging waste, and the implementation deadline for this 2019. Countries, contracting parties should explore and implement to the extent possible the following set of measures to prevent marine litter by 2017. So among these are extended producer responsibilities, sustainable procurement policies, voluntary agreement, fiscal and economic instruments to reduce, in particular, plastic bag consumption and usage in the Mediterranean, deposit return and restoration system. There should be cooperation with industry to establish procedures and manufacturing methodologies to reduce microplastics in particular. And finally, the countries have committed by the year 2020 to establish, as appropriate, depending on national circumstances, urban sewers, wastewater treatment plants and waste management system to prevent runoff and riverine inputs of litter. For the sea-based activities, you can see a set of measures here on this slide. So it's to explore and to the extent possible to implement charges for the use of port reception facilities or no special fee system by the year 2017. By the same year also to see how much can be done and to implement possible measures under the fishing for litter set of practices, also earmarking to indicate ownership and reducing ghost catches concepts should be implemented to the extent possible by the countries by the year 2017. Furthermore, prevention of marine littering from dredging activities is provided for under the plan, closing of the existing illegal dump sites and combating littering on beach, illegal sewage disposal to the sea coastal zones and into the rivers. As for the removal of accumulated litter, of the litter already deposited on the coast, along the coastlines or in the sea, the plan says that whenever environmentally sound and cost-effective actions should be taken to remove accumulated litter, and priority should be given to depositions that affect specially protected areas and specially protected areas of Mediterranean interests. And the implementation deadline for this is the year 2019. And I will not go into details here of this measure. You can see that a lot of what you are doing here under LIFE12 project actually falls under this category: cleanup campaigns, some innovative approaches such as adopt a beach practice and similar, etc. In addition to these key provisions on prevention and removal, there is a set of other provisions as well, including the need to assess the state of marine litter. So the plan provides for national and regional assessment in the framework of ecosystem approach, And here I should mention another legal instrument adopted under Barcelona Convention framework, and that's the decision, ECAP decision, Ecosystem Approach decision, where countries of the Mediterranean have committed to work towards achievement of good environmental status of the Mediterranean Sea, where one of the ecological objectives is related to marine litter and says basically that the amount of marine litter and its strength should be kept at levels that do not affect in a negative way human health, marine life, and ecosystem services. So, under the Regional Plan on Marine Litter, the first round of national assessments is due in 2016. Next year, we should start receiving from the countries their national assessment of the state, sources, impacts, etc. Well, as Mediterranean-wide assessment is to be produced every 6 years by the Secretariat of the Barcelona Convention, which is UNEP MAP, the office that I'm working for at the moment. Also, there are coordinated efforts to set up monitoring programs to know exactly, eventually, to know exactly what is going on, what are the key sources, what are the trends, etc. National monitoring programs are to be put in place by 2017 by the contracting parties, and there is an expert group already working on developing regional marine litter monitoring program. Another important provision is that the plan emphasizes the need for research and scientific cooperation, as well as for education and public awareness activities, which is also, I believe, highly relevant to the topic of today's meeting. Implementation has started. We are roughly 6-7 months into implementation of the regional plan since it came into effect in summer 2014. It's a very challenging task, both for the contracting parties and for the UNEP MAP Secretariat. And I will just mention some of the activities that are going on under the auspices of the UNEP MAP and its components. We are currently updating national plans, national action plans, not us, but the contracting parties. We are providing active support to the contracting parties to update these national action plans, which should outline programs of measures to address pollution from different sources, including marine litter, because this is an obligation under the regional plan. So the national action plans, which should be finalized by the end of this year, should include measures how to achieve good environmental status related to ecological objectives on marine litter. SCP-RAC, Regional Center on Sustainable Consumption and Production, which is part of the UNEP MAP system and is based in Barcelona, is developing a regional plan on sustainable consumption and production. REMPEC, which is another center from our system, is working on the assessment of options for the application of charges at reasonable costs and no special fee system to enhance port reception facilities and thus contribute to reduction of marine litter from sea-based activities. Review of the Mediterranean Sustainable Development Strategy is undergoing, and several thematic areas which are part of the revised strategy are relevant for the marine litter management, including the areas on sustainable cities, natural resources, greening the economy, etc., etc. The Secretariat is also working on mobilization of additional resources in order to assist contracting parties to implement the provisions of the regional plan. And finally, we are paying a lot of attention and efforts to developing partnerships and allowing for wide stakeholder involvement in addressing this problem. So I will finish just by showing this photograph, which I think is illustrative of many of the aspects that I have mentioned that have motivated the adoption of the regional plan, and that we need to work together to address or minimize in the future. And by this, let me thank you very much for your attention, for the possibility or the opportunity to present this information today, and should there be any specific questions about the regional plan and work of the UNEP map, I would be happy to take any questions in the following sessions. These are also the contacts of the United Nations Environment Programme Mediterranean Action Plan. Thanks again.